Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V. And if this is not your first time on my channel, you will definitely have heard me mention, maybe once or twice, the Summer Realm trilogy. That is 3 books that were written by 4 authors, following 4 heroes on 4 quests with 1 mission: to save the Summer Realm. We have got Agents of Secrets and Lies, which I have read to you from before, and I will link in the description from a little reading for that. We have got book 2, Savage Invasion. I've read to you from that as well. And so I thought it's only fair that now that the final book, Battle of Wind and Fire, has been released, I should read to you from this one as well. So as I always say, if you don't want any spoilers for any of these books, skip this video and I will see you next week. Love you lots and have a brilliant week. But if you would like to have a little snippet read to you, I'm going to do that now. So I am going to read to you from chapter 13 in Battle of Wind and Fire. This is another Ash and Eugene chapter. As you guys might have guessed, those are the characters that I wrote, and so those are the chapters that I find easiest to read out loud. And so I thought I would share those with you. It has been really, really difficult for me to find a chapter that I can read to you without giving you too many spoilers or sort of ruining a high action moment for you. And so this is one of my more quiet chapters in the book. It's a very, very high action novel all round. Context wise, I think all you need to know about this is that Ash and Eugene have found their seed and they want to get on an airship to go back to the Summer Palace to deliver it. However, all of the airships have been grounded because of aerial attacks from the monsters, and there are no ships open to taking them. So if you're comfy, I'll get reading. Feet up all the way. I can't believe you know the Raid family, Ash said again. They'd been waiting at the palace for some time, having been shown to an opulent waiting room and given iced sherbet drinks and fresh fruit to pass the time. Ash had never actually been inside the Palace of Shazim, despite having walked past it most days for years. It was almost as grand as the Summer Palace, although a little smaller. The walls and the floors were sheathed in marble, which cooled the rooms, and the humidity was balanced by plants that hung from the ceilings and clustered in the corners. I don't know why you're so surprised. I told you I had a pen pal here. Yeah, but Amya Raid, ain't she the heir? No, after Othman and Rania, Amya's sister Shazadi will govern Shazim. Not their brother? What's his name? The party prince? Amr? No, thank the ancients. The Raid family heritage passes through the matrilineal line. The family can trace their lineage back to before the unification of the realm, when they ruled Saha. Ash wasn't listening. Wait, so you... Ash looked round and lowered their voice. So you... with the Duchess of Shazim? Eugene coughed, turning red. You did, didn't you? It was very awkward for everyone involved, and we agreed not to speak of it again. Yeah, but you actually shagged... Shush, she's here. Amya had indeed arrived, her burnt orange robe contrasting beautifully with the azure blue and gold furniture and tapestries in the room. A child of perhaps 2 clung to her hip, and she leaned awkwardly to accommodate both him and her heavily pregnant belly. She bore the weight of her pregnancy well, and her golden brown skin glowed. Jeannie, it's so wonderful to see you again. What an unexpected surprise. I'm sorry to impose without notice. May I present my dear companion, Ash Foundrose? Ash bobbed into something halfway between a nod and a curtsy. Your Grace, they muttered. Oh, please, there's no need to be so formal. Welcome. Have you eaten? We've been offered plenty, Amya, but I'm afraid this isn't entirely a social call. I need your help. Amya set her child down on a velvet divan and settled herself beside him. Her belly was huge, almost eclipsing her in the seat. She saw Ash looking and smiled. Don't worry, I'm not due yet. There's 2 of them this time, and I'm sure they're fighting each other in there. That sounds uncomfortable. It is. Jeannie, you know your father has been searching for you. He's quite furious. Why did you run away? I didn't. I just couldn't tell him where I was going. Are there people listening to us? Naturally, but you can speak freely. All staff at the palace are aware that repeating our words will cost them their tongues. Eugene seemed to accept that, but perched on the arm of the divan beside Amya, still lowered his voice. Ash knelt on the floor and stuck their tongue out at the child, making him giggle. We are on a mission for Her Majesty. It's very hush-hush, you know, but it's to do with, he lowered his voice to a whisper, the cockatrices. You know about the invasion? We do, he said, and it's absolutely imperative for the defence of the realm that we get to the Summer Palace immediately. No airships are going south, just the one in the airfield now, and that's only being allowed because it contains essential personnel that the Queen needs for the war effort. We need to be on it, Eugene insisted. We are essential personnel too, I promise. We're carrying a weapon that we believe could win the war, ma'am, Ash said. Minister Rasselas sent us to fetch it. The name was clearly familiar to Amya. She frowned slightly. I can get you aboard, she said, but I do wish you'd told your father about this, Jeannie. What am I to say to him? He's been tearing up the realm looking for you. You can tell my father I'm a grown man. I need neither his permission nor his approval to go wherever I please. Amya's perfectly shaped eyebrows shot into her hairline. Oh, I'm sure he will love that. Eugene shrugged. He can please himself. This is more important. I'll see to it that you're on the airship. It won't be leaving until morning, though. She lifted a hand, causing a cascade of golden bangles to clang down her arm, and snapped her fingers. A servant appeared almost instantly. He'd been standing so unobtrusively in the corner that even Ash hadn't registered his presence. Prepare a suite for our guests, please, and have a message sent to Captain Spatterdock of the Beloved Ghost that there will be 2 passengers joining her tomorrow morning. Thank you, Amya, Eugene said. I'm happy to help. My parents have tried to shield me from the details because of the babies, but the cockatrices sound terrifying. Do you need anything else? Ash opened their mouth to say no and to thank her again, but Eugene spoke before they could, his voice stern and cold. Yes, actually. I'd like to know what exactly is going on with the gates. The gates? What do you mean? She looked genuinely confused. You don't know? They're locked. What do you mean, locked? I mean, they aren't open. They've been shut and people are piling up outside trying to flee the south. You must know. A range of expressions flitted across her face before Amya settled on quiet fury. Oh, Bess's bloomers, I told Mother Amma couldn't be trusted to deal with the new intake, she hissed. I'm sure I don't need to remind you that closing the gates against citizens of the realm is a violation of the Unification Treaty, which I would, of course, be obliged to report to Her Majesty. You do not. The matter will be dealt with immediately. Thanks, Amya. I knew I could count on you. You should consider moving as many people underground as possible, Ash added. Aerial attacks are highly likely. The walls will be no defence. I'll speak with my parents now. It was lovely to meet you, Ash. Perhaps when everything is settled you can come and visit under happier circumstances. I'd be honoured. Until then, please enjoy the house. My servants will tend to anything you need, bring you some food, launder your clothes. Please feel free to make use of the bathhouse. An escort will be arranged to take you to the ghost at first light. Ash smiled politely but inwardly groaned. Why did everything have to happen at first light? They finally had a comfortable bed to stay in, and they couldn't even luxuriate in it. Ash had been in Shazimi bathhouses before, but none so sumptuous as this. Usually they'd pay a few pennies and go in alone, but here the servants took care of everything. Their clothes were replaced with fluffy white robes and taken off to be laundered, with the exception of Ash's cloak, which they insisted be left untouched, mostly due to the large amounts of money sewn into the hems. Next they were taken to a small tiled room and thoroughly scrubbed down with the scratchy bristled brushes and soap that smelled of lemon and mint. Ash felt awkward standing there naked while strangers scrubbed weeks of dirt from their paws, but Eugene seemed completely at home, laughing and joking with the scrub maids. After the soap was rinsed off, they were taken to the next room and told to lay on the padded benches. There they were rubbed with warm oils. Ash struggled to relax. They weren't keen on being touched, especially by strangers. The maid commented on how knotted their back was, piling on pressure with her elbows. It was a strange sensation, on the edge of painful, but it was clear she wasn't going to let up until she had Ash's back untied, so they tried to relax into it. After an age, they were led to the final room. It housed a huge pool, tepid at the shallow end and steaming hot at the far deep end. You were supposed to sit in the area that was the hottest you could handle, but Ash preferred to find a comfortable temperature and just soak. They floated in the water, letting the quiet chatter from the other bathers wash over them for an immeasurable time. It felt like months since they'd last been able to stop, to be comfortable, to feel unhurried. Eventually, hunger drove Ash and Eugene out of the baths. The servants towelled them dry and rubbed their skin with lotion, much more gently than they'd been rubbed with the oil. Their clothes had been washed and somehow also dried, and they smelled like a forest floor in autumn in the most pleasant way. Eugene asked if some food could be sent to their suite, and it arrived moments after they did. Ash barely had time to take in the large couch, the tapestries, and the huge four-poster bed before steaming bowls of highly spiced shornlock stew were set on the small table, with piles of unleavened bread that served as both part of the meal and the cutlery for it. Ash and Eugene fell on the food like a pair of ravenous dogs and ate until their stomachs groaned. By the time they finished, they were both so full and so sleepy, neither of them cared to ask why there was only one bed, or make a fuss about it. The bed was big, and anyway, they'd slept in far worse places. They collapsed into it, sinking into the deep, soft mattress, and were asleep before they had a chance to enjoy the luxury of the sponge silk sheets. At some point in the night, Ash woke briefly, feeling hot and uncomfortable. Eugene's arm was slung across them, pinning Ash in. There was plenty of room to roll away, but instead Ash shuffled closer to Eugene, pressing their back against his chest. Eugene muttered something in his sleep and pulled Ash closer. The pressure of his arm holding Ash close felt strangely comforting, and Ash smiled in the dark as Eugene's deep, measured breaths lulled them back to sleep. Morning arrived far too quickly. Ash had to practically drag themselves out of bed. They felt like they'd had the sleep equivalent of a quick snack while starving. The rest had just reminded their body what it was missing. Amya had arranged a full palace guard to escort them to the Red Gate. Although it wasn't yet dawn, the streets were piling up with crowds, and soldiers seemed to be corralling them into groups. True to her word, Amya had spoken to her mother and ordered the gates unlocked, and now the city had to find somewhere for all the people to go. It would be the work of days, if not weeks, to get everyone inside, but at least they'd started. Ash felt uncomfortable as the crowds parted to make way for the horses that were far better fed than most of the people. They'd rather be cutting through the crowd unseen and unnoticed. Everyone was gawping at them, and Eugene's hat, merrily chiming as its little boat sailed around the rim, was not helping. But needs must. And it did feel good to haughtily look down their nose at the soldiers who refused them passage yesterday, as the guards explained that yes, by decree of the governess, Ash and Eugene were to board. It was strange seeing a commercial airship so quiet. Usually during boarding there would be hordes of rich elites waiting to embark, talking loudly and being rude to people. Ash could usually redeem the fare, even make a little profit before boarding, just by lifting from people's pockets in the queue. Today, though, it was just them and a harried skeleton crew preparing the beloved ghost for takeoff. "Do you think they'll still have the orchestra aboard?" Eugene whispered. "I've been looking forward to the music." "I don't think so, dear heart." Ash pointed to a man who was using a huge ratchet to steady a spring. "See that big twat in a stupid hat over there? He's been doing at least 4 people's jobs. I've been watching him." "Skull! How are our inflation pressures looking?" a woman who could only be the captain yelled. "About ready, Captain," the man in the winged hat yelled back. "Just checking the rigging with Mim and we'll be all set to leave." "Do you think we'll fly near enough to the coast to see the sea?" Eugene asked. "Oh yeah, for sure." "What's it like?" Ash pondered. "Powerful wet, and so big you can't see the other side of it. It changes all the time too, sometimes grey, sometimes blue. It clatters against the rocks and swooshes back and forth in the sand." They fell silent, aware they were doing a terrible job of describing the forever sea. Nevertheless, Eugene's eyes shone. "I can't wait," he grinned. The captain caught sight of the passengers and pursed her lips, clearly not happy they were boarding. "You two will have to stay out of the way. We've no time for coddling on this trip." She said it kindly, but in the firm tones of one who was fed up already, despite it not yet being breakfast time. "I'll be going straight to my cabin, Captain," Ash said. "I'm absolutely exhausted." They caught Eugene gazing wistfully at the springs, pulleys and rigging. "Oh, go and ask if you can help. You know you're itching to." "Do you think they'd let me?" "Sure. You're strong, you can do as you're told. That's all you need, really. Come get me before we hit the coast. I want to see you see the sea for the first time." Ash waited until they could see Eugene had bonded, probably over their stupid hats, with the one the captain had called Skull, and then went to find their bed. It was hard and the blankets were scratchy, but Ash didn't care. They could finally relax. The quest was done. They were aboard the ship. Very soon they'd be at the Summer Palace and would collect a handsome reward from Rasselas. They'd even share it with Eugene. From here on out, they could put their feet up all the way. The beloved ghost climbed lazily into the sky, and Shazim soon became a small toy town far below them. Ash was already fast asleep, and Eugene was engrossed with Skull, who was very happy to have the extra pair of hands, even if they were attached to someone who kept asking questions about how everything worked. The skeleton crew was overworked, running back and forth across the deck to adjust the rigging, keep the ballast balanced, and ride the choppy air currents coming up from the desert. Perhaps that's why no one noticed the pair of cockatrices scaling the chasm edge below the bridge towards the winding crowd of refugees attempting to enter the city. I hope that you enjoyed that chapter. It wasn't actually that far into the book, so I am not sure that Ash is correct, that it's just feet up all the way now. If you did, you can find more chapter readings on the Summer Realm trilogy playlist on my channel, and you can also buy all 3 books through my link tree. It is the very top link on there. I will put it on the screen and also in the description as well. Join me on Monday for my next vlog, where I am finally doing a little artsy one. We're going to play with some clay next week and make something that would have gone into the bin into something beautiful. If you can't wait till then to see me again, I will be here every single morning in your shorts, taking a great big deep breath, letting you know what I am grateful for, and I absolutely love when you join in with that. It makes me so happy to see what makes you happy. So like and subscribe, or don't, I'm not your mum, but either way, you have yourself a magical week.